Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've been getting a lot of questions about this new Hisense, I want to call it a U-shaped unit, although it's not entirely a U-shaped, versus the Midea U-shaped. And I think I'm pretty well versed to answer that question because I owned the Midea from 2020 when it came out until about 3 weeks ago when I got rid of it because of the recall and the mold issue. So I bought this Hisense unit to replace the Midea, and I can tell you I've had this now for about 2 weeks. It's been about 3 weeks since I stopped using the Midea, and then the recall came out. 2 weeks since I've had this and owned this, and there's a few subtle differences between the two units. Some things that I like, some things that I don't. I'm going to tell you all of those right now. I'm going to bring the camera in, and then I'm going to tell you the most important thing, which is, I think, how you can prevent mold growth in the Hisense and the Midea if you still have one, or if you're going to buy a new one, because Midea is re-releasing the U-shaped unit. They've pulled them back right now because they're retrofitting them with better drain plugs. The ones that don't have drains are being retrofitted. And actually, my unit that I got in 2020 when it first came out had no plug at all, so I can actually really speak to the problems with that. But it is coming back out, so I think it's really important for you to know the differences and which one is better for you. Okay, so I came in a little bit closer here with the camera. Just start with the biggest difference between the U-shape versus the Hisense unit. The U-shape unit, the bottom is about the same, but it comes up to the same height as the rear portion of the air conditioner where the compressor is, and the window closes in between the two of them, and the window actually closes further down. It closes about this far down, as opposed to the Hisense, which closes, there's still a little gap, but it closes almost on top, minus like an inch or two. And that might seem really insignificant, but let me tell you, from having owned both of them, I actually think the Hisense is better, and I'm going to explain why. This piece is pretty much almost entirely attached to the back. There's a gap of maybe this much that the window actually goes in between, whereas the U-shape, there's much more of a gap. The gap is, let me just get my hands here in the camera. The gap is probably like this big, and the window goes from the top all the way down to about here in between the Midea unit. And what that does, you may not realize it, is the piece in the front becomes kind of wobbly. And so when you're trying to carry it, you have to carry the Midea from the back. And when it's in your window and the compressor turns on the Midea, A, you hear a very high-pitched whining sound, and B, the whole front of the unit just kind of jiggles and shakes for a second as it's coming on. Now that might seem insignificant, but when you're in a really quiet bedroom and you're sleeping and you hear that shaking every once in a while, it kind of gets annoying. I've also noticed on the Midea unit, not the Hisense, but the Midea at night, it would vibrate a little bit, again, because there is such a separation between the front and the back that you don't have as much material physically keeping it together. This is solid. This isn't shaking. I can't shake this at all because it's really attached to the back, again, with just a really small gap that the window goes in between. Also touching on that gap, the actual pan that connects this to the back on the Midea is really, really small and narrow. And you've got to get all those coils and cables and electronics through there, so there's not a lot of space, I think, to have water properly drained. And in the drip pan in the Midea unit, I'm just going to use this chapstick bottle to show you. If this is the drip pan in the Midea unit, there's kind of a cap on one side, and then there's a little hole on the other side for the water to come out, but it's perfectly level. So even if you have the unit, tilted outwards, it doesn't matter because the drip pan itself is level. The drip pan should be slanted to the right where the drain hole is on the Midea. That way, no matter how it's tilted into the window, the water can flow out. There's really no way in the Midea for it to get out. I've looked into the Hisense to the best of my ability, and it actually looks like it is a little slanted. I have not taken the whole thing apart because obviously it's brand new and I really don't want to do that. But it does look like there's a little more of an ability for the water to drain out. Also on the Midea, you have a much higher, because again, the unit goes from basically the bottom to the top, whereas the Hisense is kind of 50% of the back here. There's a much higher screen. There's a much higher filter in the Midea. I actually don't like that. I actually like the Hisense one. I'm just taking this door off to kind of show you. The filter in the Hisense is the same concept as the Midea, but it's a much smaller filter. I think easier to clean. There's less of an ability to attract a lot of dirt and dust coming in there. Let me just pull the camera closer because I want you to kind of take a look inside here. I'll shine the flashlight just so you can see. But this area in my Midea unit, when I would have the air conditioner on, kind of in here at the bottom, you know, below the coils and the condenser, every morning in the Midea I would see water pooled here, and I would take a paper towel, I would try to dry it up, I would do everything I could to correct that, but I never really could get it clean in the Midea. There was water there every single day. Now I've been using this Hisense for about 2 weeks, and I don't see any water in here. And there's been a couple of humid nights, and you know, it's been perfectly clean, perfectly dry. I'm actually sticking my hand in there right now, and it is totally dry. Whereas the Midea, from day one, I was getting, you know, condensation building up in there. The other really big difference is the noise. I have this on right now. This is on fan mode only, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing that in just a second. And you can tell it's fan mode only because of these two lights. It does not show the actual temperature readout. But the Midea unit was definitely quiet. When I bought it, I said to myself, wow, this is absolutely a game changer, because I came from a traditional GE air conditioner that would vibrate the whole room when the compressor was running, and it made this loud ka-chunk when the compressor turned on and off. The Midea was like a high-pitched, you know, whining sound when the compressor came on, but it was quiet. The Hisense, this is 100% quieter than the Midea. When I'm laying in bed and I turn this on with the remote, I hear the blower wheel come on, and I can just vaguely make out the compressor coming on. It does not have the high-pitched whining sounds that the Midea had. It does not shake at all when the compressor comes on, because like I said, this is a really solid piece, because this is attached to that, you know, by almost its entire dimension. Whereas the Midea, there is only a small section of the Midea that was holding the front and the back unit together. This is much more solid. Also on the sides here, the Midea, again, very similar concept. The Midea had these pieces that came down, and then you would put the foam in between it, and then the window obviously would come much lower. And you would think by the window coming lower that the Midea was actually going to be much more quiet, but it really wasn't. And it wasn't because of that separation between the front and the back. It caused for a lot of shaking, vibration, rattling sounds. I actually put some blocks of wood under the Midea to try to prop the front up to prevent it from rattling, because it was kind of flimsy because there wasn't a lot holding it together. Those are the main differences between the two units. The one thing that, I mean, I love the Hisense. The Hisense, if I had to pick, this is 100% my choice. But the one thing I don't like about the Hisense, and I really hope that they improve this in future models, is, well, it's two-faceted. It's the front of the unit. You have no buttons. The only buttons you have are the on-off button and the temperature up and down. Now right now I'm running in fan mode, so there's no way from the front of the unit for me to put this back in air conditioning mode or dehumidifier mode. I have to use the remote control. And the remote is not bad, but as you can see, because it's on fan mode right now, this button down, or this image right here, that shows you that it's fan, and it's fan speed low because there's only 3 blades. If you went to medium, you'd see more blades, and if you went to high, you would see more. And at the top, you would see that denotes that it's fan. This remote is not backlit. It is actually a little difficult to see at night. You know, if you're just kind of glancing at it at the wrong angle, it's a little bit difficult to see. In low light, it's a little difficult to see. That's my biggest complaint. If Hisense just made this remote backlit, maybe put the word fan on here, or fan speed, or had slightly different symbols on here, I think it would be a home run. And just put some buttons on the front, because I really, if you lose the remote, to be quite honest, there is no way to operate this. There apparently is an app. I have been totally unsuccessful in downloading and getting the app to work, although I do believe that this can link with, I think, Alexa Home or Google Home. I don't have that, so I obviously haven't tried that, but apparently you can do that, and I think that works better than apparently the app, which I did find a few apps, but I was not able to get them to work. Now I want to talk about the part that everyone really, should be paying attention to, and that is how to prevent mold. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to shut this unit off, because I want the louver to close, so that way I can kind of explain what I do to prevent mold in this unit. In the Midea unit, I previously took it apart about 2-3 years ago to really give it a good cleaning, because there was tons of mold, and I am allergic to the mold. And it got a little bit better, but it never felt like 100%, and it really was actually quite difficult to take it apart. So I want to prevent that. I don't want to have to take this apart. I want this to just stay good. So what I do when I'm running this unit overnight, and I was running this overnight, which is why the fan was on. I'm going to explain that. When I'm done using the air conditioner, right, I'm getting ready to go to work now. I've gotten up. I turn the air conditioner off. The first thing I do when I shut the AC is to really just put it in fan only. And I leave it in fan only for about 15-20 minutes because what I want to do is I want to dry all that condensation that may have accumulated on the blower wheel, on the coil. I just want to dry it up. So I want the fan to just spin to try to dry it. And like I said, I've had this for about a little over 2 weeks now, and I have had no issues so far. Then when I'm done and I'm about to go out for the day or I'm going to go to work and I've turned it off, right, I've let the fan stop spinning, I just come over here and the louvers have a little motor, and the Midea, it was the same thing. And I just open it up, just gently, right, because you're pushing against the motor. And I leave it open because I want air to get in here, and if there's any condensation that I've not been able to dry up with the fan, I just want it to dry naturally. By keeping this closed, you're keeping it dark and potentially cool. What happens in dark, cool places, or dark, humid places, I should say? You get mold growth. So I have had no issues so far, and I'm just going to shine the flashlight. It may be a little hard to see, but there is not even so much as one single speck of mold, dirt, anything in here. And again, it's only 2 weeks old, give or take. But I've been taking the precautions that I can to try to keep it clean. I keep the filter super clean. And in fact, I'm going to buy a pre-filter to put in front of this filter. That way I can catch more dust, probably just dust, I guess. I don't have pets here. But I want to catch as much dust and or dirt as I can in the pre-filter to prevent it from getting into the coil. I want to keep everything really, really clean to prevent mold. And if you can see back here, the Midea had a blue blower wheel. This one is actually kind of almost like translucent or yellowish to a degree. And it's actually easier to see this one, to see if there's any dirt or mold on it. And the blades of the blower wheel actually kind of look like they're slanted a little bit. The blower wheel itself is totally straight, but the blades look slanted. And I think that is to help potentially drain any condensation off the blades, because if you have blades that are straight, and there's water droplets on it, they're just going to stay there. But if the blades are curved, they're going to drip off. And I think that might be the reason. The other thing I plan on doing is maybe once a month, I bought an anti-mold solution, or a solution that kills mold that is not bleach, because bleach is corrosive. I work on an ambulance, and when we spray bleach on metal surfaces on the ambulance, it starts to rust and cause corrosion. It's not really good. So I don't want to spray bleach in here. I'm going to spray this kind of mold killer, anti-mold solution that is supposed to not rust. I'm going to post a link on the description of what I bought. And probably once a month, I'm just going to lightly spray it in here. I'm going to try to spray it on the blower wheel. I'm going to try to spray it on the back of the panel there that goes to the bottom. And then I might even open this up and just spray a little bit, on the condenser in there and in some parts. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it open to air out. I'm going to leave the fan on with the blower wheel to just kind of dry it. I might even take a hair dryer and just put it on the cold setting and just dry everything up and let the solution stay there. That is the biggest difference between the two of them. That is how I think you should prevent mold. And then I'm sorry, I did forget the most major thing here and that is how you position it in the window. How you position this in the window is absolutely critical to prevent mold growth. And there are so many people that want the AC unit perfectly lined up. It has to look perfect. No. You want it to tilt out. And on this unit, and the same with the Midea, it comes with basically a stand, like a brace that you have to put in first. And then this unit just comes in and it sits on the brace. You could open this window right now completely and this wouldn't move or fall at all. Now, I don't want to do that because I have foam up top, in the window to try to keep a nice seal, and I don't want to have to take that out and put it back in. But you could very easily open this and there'll be no issue. But when I put this in, I put the brace in such that the brace was kind of leaning a little bit, outwards, so the unit will slope and it won't fall off the brace. And I'll open the window and show you in a second, because there's pieces that you can put in the brace to prevent that. And then I took a level, and you want the level to be like this. You don't want to put the level like this because there's no way to tell. But go in this direction. Obviously, for those that don't know or have not used the level, when the bubble is in the center, you have it totally centered. If the bubble goes forward, the unit's leaning back. If the bubble goes to the back, the unit's leaning forward. So I'm just going to put this on here, and you can see, let me just pull the camera in closer. You can see based on where that bubble is, that it's in the front, that the unit is leaning out, pretty nicely. And it might be a little hard to see on the camera here, but I do have a pretty nice rearward slant. So let me open the window because I want to show you exactly how the brace works and the pieces that are on the brace to prevent this from just falling out the window. Okay, it's a little rainy, so I don't want to hang out the window too long. But if we come out the window here, we see the stand, and these pieces right here, these are plastic, and you can stick them in different spots. So I put those in right there because that 100% will prevent the unit from sliding back any further. So again, when I open the window, this is totally fine the way it is. I should also mention that it does say handle over here, and basically it's just a kind of an indented spot that you can very easily pick it up. But like I said at the beginning of the video, this is actually significantly easier to move around than the Midea because it feels much more solid. It's really kind of one piece, whereas the Midea had a big separation between the front and the back. The separation came up to here and the window went much lower, which in concept that sounds like a really good idea because it sounds like, wow, the front and the back are totally separated. But in practice, what happens is the front becomes a little wobbly, the front vibrates more. It just, I don't know. I like this design a lot better. And like I said, the Midea is going to be coming back out on the market. So if you prefer the Midea, you will be able to pick that up again. But if I had to choose again, like tomorrow, if they were both in the store, same price, the Midea had the drain, they resolved the mold issue, I'd still pick the Hisense because this is quieter, it doesn't vibrate. I actually just like this design a little bit better. Guys, I hope this was helpful. I've been getting a ton of questions. So if you have questions, send them over, leave a comment. I will absolutely do my best to answer every single one of them. And like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.